Howdy, folks. Your host, Double J, back here for another Fridaze, along with, first of all, host of the Operation GCD, and perhaps more notably, not the vice president, joined here by my co-host on Fridaze, Nick, host of the Occult Rejects, man who might be closer to the White House than myself.
Oh, God. That's crazy stuff. Oh. Yeah, we'll get into that one day. That's fucking nuts.
Right? How's life treating you today? Anything? What's going new with the Occult Rejects?
Not much, man. Not much. Actually, really just worked on an episode today on Masilio Ficino. Still working on that fucking thing. Spent a couple hours on that today still. Almost done.
Nice.
But yeah.
So you dropped your Coral Castle stuff, a piece of that. That was pretty awesome stuff.
Hell yeah. That was fun. Yeah, I want to get that guest back on again, actually.
It's a great topic. I mean, sure. That sounds awesome. All right. Well, we got ourselves a wonderful guest here tonight, coming from north of the 48 in Canada. Jonah, greetings, sir. Appreciate you joining us here tonight.
Yeah. Speaking of the White House, it's my country who is allegedly the ones that burned it down.
That's true.
Although we weren't even a country at the time.
You're right.
They blame Canada though, right? And we weren't in country at the time.
Yeah, well, that's where they forged the attack from, right? I blame the crown, though.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. The whole entire War of 1812 was just funded by Nathan Red Shield, right? We're on YouTube, so I'll try to use some code. I curse a lot, but I'll try to use code on the things we want to use code on.
Do what you got to do, bud. So, no, I agree with you. There's a lot to be unpacked on that War of 1812. I've been doing a lot of that stuff on Operation GCD and something I call Chasing Manir, which is a listener of Operation GCD, a folk of the interwebs, who was discovered Operation GCD because I cover the Society of the Cincinnati topic, the secret society that started America. And his ancestor was actually involved in the George Washington spy apparatus, traveling around America, spying on Aaron Burr and his family in the events leading up there to the War of 1812. So Aaron Burr's daughter marries the governor of South Carolina, and then she goes missing on December 31st, 1811. So immediately preceding the war. So a lot to be said about that. Yeah. We cover that in that series. We haven't quite got to the War of 1812, but I like where your head's at there.
Well, I mean, let's be honest though too, because like saying free, we're here to talk about the Bronfman who. I mean, let's be honest, could be said to be the North American Red Shields, if not the Rockefellers, but I would say even more the Bronfmans, because they're not as openly discussed, like people do talk about the Red Shields, but not to the same degree, right?
Right. So, you and I started this conversation. I'll give a plug to Third World Assassin YouTube channel, Mr. Clint Eastwood over there. That's where we met over there having this discussion a few months back where we started this and, this whole banking enterprise, and I think I shared with you at that time that I was, kind of years ago, I never really bought into this whole necessarily Rothschild control of the world. But then you take a deep dive of the current French president. You're like, what the fuck? Rothschild banker.
Yeah.
Married to his mom's sister, dad, wife. They're really just an extension of the Rothschilds, the Trogno chocolate family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. And then
look at this guy, right? What's this guy's background? The new Prime Minister of Canada.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because I see you pulled up the Wikipedia. Well, he grew up in Northwest Territories, about total of 50,000 fucking people for like let's call it 300,000 square kilometers or whatever. It's like massive with like 50,000 people. What
my town has more people in it.
Dude, you know how much they charge?
I
know people
in it.
I know people that move up there to I know people that will move up there to do the diamond mines and stuff, right? Do you know what they charge for a fucking case of fucking Coca-Cola? $16.
$16. Holy shit.
60.
60. Holy smokes, Jonah, I'll have none of it.
It all has to be shipped in, bro. Now here's even better though, too, right?
That was gonna be like 180 with the tariffs.
What's even funnier,
no one lives here, none of it, right next door. So the Northwest Territories, this whole land area right here, highlighted is 30,000 people.
Yeah,
huh? Wow.
Something like that. If you want to, because my connection's slow, I'm doing mobile hotspot. But if you look up Northwest Territories, it's under 100,000, I'm guessing. But none of it. You know, when I was a kid, none of it. There was none of it. It didn't exist.
Right? Okay.
Oh, Sonny, like when I was a kid, there was no fucking none of it. But now all of a sudden, it's like a whole fucking separate territory there, right?
Yep.
So yeah,
what happened? They just started doing oil drilling or something. What caused there to be people up there? They can't be fishing.
Oh, polar bears were going extinct, but no, it's all diamonds.
Diamonds,
or diamonds on fire or whatever. The ice diamonds.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all from the Northwest Territories. Yeah, and there's polar bears up there.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't ever want to see one of those things up close in person unless you're in like one of the tour buses, because. Yeah, no. So he just grew up in Northwest Territories, you know, working class family.
You ain't kidding about the population up there. It's next to nothing.
Yeah,
it's like 30,000 people. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
500,000 square miles.
Yeah. So I was guessing, and I was, you know, I was under on both, but I mean, you know what I mean. So he grew up there in Northwest Territories. Oh, he's playing goalie, and then just happened to go to Harvard. So, like, literally, like, you have 30,000 people in the entire fucking place. How good was your academics that you got accepted to Harvard?
That's what I was going to ask. Is his folks like some diamond mine owners or something? Like, what's going on with his folks?
I forget what
their mom and a principal, huh? That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound right. It sounds like he's a bastard child of the bloodline. But you know, like William Jefferson Clinton, you know, they put his fucking name right in there, like it doubled the time to show that he's a bastard of the bloodline. But then they say he was born to Blythe or whatever fuck the dude's name is.
Who's his dad?
I don't know. I'm assuming that he's from the Clinton family, right? Because his original bloodline or his alleged biological father was just like a small Arkansas with Clinton. It was just a small Arkansas farmer. Then when he died, his mom ended up marrying a Missouri Cadillac dealer who was a Clinton or some shit like that. I'm like,
right,
okay, cool. So
right. That's Roger's dad, right? That's his half brother's dad.
Yeah. So to me, that's
the coke that he bought.
Yeah. For me, that just sounds like it's, you know, they're taking care of their bastard children, right? But
that's a good point. So there was his old bagman real quick. His old bagman, Clinton's a guy by the name of Larry Nichols. He was involved in the Iran-Contra scandal. He's part of that real estate development corporation, Arkansas Real Estate Development Corporation. He was the marketing agent for it. So he was the one slinging the bonds to launder the money for MENA Arkansas cocaine trafficking. He claimed that Clinton's dad was William J. Fulbright, the old U.S. senator from Arkansas.
Oh, okay. Is that the Fulbright scholarship?
Yes, sir. And Clinton's first job out of college, a driver, I believe it was, for William J. Fulbright.
So let me just go ahead. I'm going to do something real quick and a little side quest, but you know,
let's do it.
So Jonah, I just want to ask you a question real quick. Because you have an excellent memory. Do you remember when this is back with Lux, there was an episode where we actually focused on the Fulbright shit. I can't remember what it was, but we were like showing how they connected to something, and they're like sending kids to these Catholic schools that are basically like indoctrinating. It looked like this Catholic type of like nice settings. School, and it was all like basically Marxism that they were being taught. They were going to the
I think that was with wasn't that through the Georgetown shit or whatnot? Or
one of those spending time on Fulbright, and I was like, yo, this is a program.
Yeah, the reason I'm bringing that up, you know, there's this dude who just dropped a song about sucking his cousin off, and you know, but his redacted mother, who was a CIA recruiter. If you go to the official story,
I think she was his handle, dude.
Dude, she was a Fulbright scholar who went to China and then came back and was a professor at a University of Chicago, which is a Rockefeller University. But the Fulbright scholarship is also owned and operated, or I should say owned and operated, but it's under the State Department. So Fulbright is all under the State Department.
Yeah, Bill Cooper had a lot of thoughts about old William J. He called him half bright.
Now, it's really funny though that we were talking about good old William Jefferson.
Slick Willie.
Hurricane Bubba, as the anti-heroes called him on the American Pie CD. But again, I grew up on street punk and skinhead music, so not everyone will know that. But well, as I can say though, it's funny we brought him up too, right? Because like I say, I think Carney's the bastard child of one of these bloodlines. Because, like I say,
no, I like the idea, man.
That territory, it's not even a fucking province,
right?
So he goes to Harvard.
I like it.
Oh, he's there to play goaltender.
Okay.
Allegedly, he has a perfect record as a Harvard goaltender. Yeah, he allegedly has a perfect record. So when we had the election this week, Viva Fry, I don't know if anyone watched them, but when Viva Fry had Kyle Kemper, who I think is actually Justine Castro's half brother, when his mother left him and went to, his mother was a whore and she left him and went to go hang out in Studio 54 and do a bunch of blow and show her beaver. You know, the beaver destroyed Canada.
Yeah, she had a famous affair with Mick Jagger while she was married, right? To Trudeau, right?
Geraldo. Yeah, Geraldo published that in Geraldo's memoirs. He talks about that. He smashed her. Yeah, like everyone smashed her down in New York. Anyway, so before Al Capone's,
so you remember that? You remember that shit? There was nothing in there.
Yeah, which is kind of funny too, because. It's kind of funny too because as we get to the Bronfmans, they're actually the ones who were supplying and running Al Capone, depending on some people, right? But it's sticking with William Jefferson. So Mr. Carney allegedly had 10 minutes played his entire college career at Harvard with 5 saves, according to Kyle Kemper, who I think is Justin Trudeau's brother, or Justine Castro. But
I'm tracking. What's this guy's name? Kyle Kemper.
Yeah. After that, he goes to Oxford and plays goalie there too. So is he a Rhodes Scholar? Maybe. But even if he's not, that seems kind of fucking ridiculous, right? That you grew up in a territory with 30,000 people, like you were getting fucking taught in an igloo.
That is a Slick Willie trajectory from a poor farmer son of a poor used car salesman in Arkansas and to the to Georgetown to Yale. That's a strange. You don't normally make that jump anyway, right?
Yeah. You get taught in an igloo, then you end up at Harvard and Oxford.
Yeah, then Clinton goes to Oxford, right? He goes to Oxford too. Yeah. He doesn't graduate, but he goes there.
He goes there and grapes a chick and then gets thrown out.
According to the tales of some of their classmates, him and his buddy that he would later appoint in, I think it was the State Department. They
that fucking piece of shit that went to the fucking dwarf.
They went to Russia together.
Robert Reich, that fucking dork.
Is that his name? I couldn't think of his name. It was some dude he went to Oxford with. They went to Russia together. I know Clinton appointed him.
But
yeah, go ahead.
Man.
I like where you're going with this because, again, it seems like a lot of these characters have these kind of intentional. We're gonna hide them out. You know what I mean? Build them up as something else. You know, that's what Macron's going on right now over there in Frenchland. Yeah.
Now I'm going to try and do because I put together just a few slides because
sure.
Oops. No, damn it! I hit the wrong one. Let me try and do a split screen. Normally I do this with 2 screens, but like I say, I would have kind of I've got right away from society and I'm living on a farm, just in a trailer, until actually, no, I shouldn't say that. The whole bylaw department was like, yeah, you can't do that legally. So now
I like it. I live in a farm on a trailer myself, so I like your style there, Jonah. If you want to, you want to share it, I can put it up on the screen here.
Yeah. I'm just getting to the right one, and I'm trying to split screens so that or snap screens, so then I can kind of control and also have you guys up on the whatever on the side there.
Do what you gotta do, bud.
Because I
this was allegedly Clinton's boyfriend. They did a honeymoon together in Russia, USSR. After the Clinton apparently didn't graduate.
Robert Reich
is Strobe Talbot apparently. He's
no. Robert Reich is the. He's
that little fella. He's a little conservative fella.
Yeah.
The anti-Trumper.
But bring up
it says Clinton would put him in charge of focus on the Russia, but so they did like a little. He was the deputy secretary of state. Yeah, they did a little lovers jaunts to USSR apparently, leaving Oxford early and not graduating, as the story goes. I wasn't there; he couldn't verify, but I would say based on old Slick Willie's activities, he kind of likes whatever he can get. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I was gonna say though, that fucking piece of shit Robert Reich, bring him up real quick and tell me if you recognize him. I fucking when before the one good thing with Elon when he fucking bought up X, which he didn't, it's just a memorandum of understanding. It's still run by DARPA or whoever above him. He's just a patsy, right? But
sure.
The one good thing when he did that, right, was when he took over that shit, right?
Twixter?
Before that, that fucking Robert Reich was always on my timeline, and I despise him.
Oh, he was always on mine too, man. He was everywhere. He's such a tiny little fella. Look at him. He's like a leprechaun. What's up, little guy?
Yeah.
He's like 4'10". Yeah. I'm not even making that up. He's literally a midget, but he was a midget that dominated Twitter, right?
Oh yeah,
he's that big anti-Trumper, right?
He's supposed to be an economist, but then he was all. Yeah, but he was also like he's supposed to be an economist, but he literally was swinging on the balls of fucking NAFTA. He is the one who went out of his way to push that shit everywhere, and then fucking was criticizing Trump for his U.S. Canada Mexico agreement or whatever.
Yeah, most folks don't actually know he's legally a little person, do they? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. He dominated Twitter. He was everywhere, but no one knew that he was a midget.
Yeah, he's a midget. Yeah,
I'm telling you, dude, he's like 4'10". I'm not.
Yeah. And then
that's the actual height of this guy.
I don't even think he's that tall.
His height. I'm just saying.
I don't think he's that tall.
It's funny that a midget dominated Twitter.
No.
Like Godzilla style, right? He dominated Twitter.
Like I don't even think he's that tall. That's like when you. That's like Spud Webb, when they said he was 5'9", so he could dunk a ball, but he like whatever, right? They lie about those numbers, right? Try to make you look
right.
what
you're saying is Robert Reich's more like 4'8" than is what you're getting at.
Yeah, this dude makes me feel cool.
What am I doing here? I'm trying to get the notation up.
Yeah, why was this dude so important in the first place, right? Like, why was that dude everywhere?
He was the Rhodes Scholar with Clinton, so he is there for the graping. He is friends with HRC too, or Hillary the whole time, but then he was the economist, the head economist, I think it was for Clinton. Okay, I'm sharing now.
Yeah, he was an economist for Clinton, wasn't he? You're right.
Yeah,
and then
he was the one who he was the. No, he never went conservative. He's a fuck communist, but he was the driving force behind NAFTA. But then he ended up getting he did have a little bit of guilty conscience at some point with Clinton, and then he got ran out. But then he went to he went back to the communist institutions called higher education, and then
right.
He just started running his mouth. So I won't really be able to see. For some reason, I thought he joined
one of those like Heritage Foundations or Lincoln Project or something, but I don't pay that much attention to it.
I think he went to.
He would have fit well in those groups.
I think he went to Stanford actually. If you have that open, I think he might have went to Stanford or one of those those redacted California schools.
Typical.
As a professor.
Typical.
Yeah, if you got that open here, so I'm
looking right now. I don't see where he's at.
Yeah. So when it like right away, as the day I heard about Carney, when that was when you and I were on with Clint, Illuminati News, and I said, "Hey man, you got this fucking former governor of the Bank of Canada, former governor of the granddaddy, the Bank of England, who goes
the
to
Rothschilds.
Brookfield Asset." Yeah, he goes to Brookfield Asset Management. So you look here, this is August 26th, 2020. Yep. So he went over to Brookfield Asset Management as soon as he left the Bank of England. You'll see he was the vice chair and head of ESG and impact fund investing.
Which that's important.
Now you look
for
at
the communists, it's important.
Yeah, well, you read about the third line in. He is currently the United Nations Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance.
There you go.
He's a longtime advocate for sustainability, specifically with regard to the management and reduction of climate risks. So, he's pushing all that, what is it, the Sustainable Development Goals, all that bullshit. So
sure.
But
a lot of green projects.
So the reason that, yeah. Don't get me started on NACs. Do you know about the NACs?
I'm not hip.
Natural asset companies. So they were trying to push this shit through. It was Rockefeller Foundation and I forget the second name, but it was actually like a private corporation owned by the New York Stock Exchange. And so natural asset companies is basically they're going to start charging people for fucking breathing air.
Oh.
And, like the entire financial global market is like 40 or 60 trillion dollars currently. So with their projections and all this shit on the natural asset companies, they're like, this industry is going to be $105 billion annual business. And so they're trying to push that through, but it fell through. So anyone who wants to look into it is NAC, Natural Asset Corporations.
Nice. I'll
definitely something to keep an eye on because definitely something to look into because I think they're going to come back to now. So when I went to the next slide here, now what's really interesting about Brookfield, and everyone tried to push this on Carney, but again, I like to give proper information and sources. That's why I'm bringing, screenshots.
See, 666, huh?
I talk a lot of shit, and I live in Canada, so I might go to prison for this, But not yet. But it is,
Lord, I hope not. I know it's getting a little that way, isn't it? Up there.
Yeah, it's been that way. Well, I'll just say this: like I grew up a skinhead, and like I had my first my first seizure by Canada Customs in 1993 or 94 for hate propaganda. So it's always been that way, but it's kind of funny too, right? Because they just seize it, right? And then they send you a letter.
Speech, huh?
They're like, hey, well, the Queen hates every fucking thing, right?
Right. Hates liberty.
Yeah, but so everyone wanted to push that. Part of the reason that Trump was backing Carney was because Carney's actually, as the people other than myself were saying, is Carney is Jared Kushner's boss. But we do have to bring up the fact that Brookfield acquires 100% lease of the 666 Fifth Avenue, of course, which is Jared Kushner's building.
Right.
So it's but that was 2 years before he joined the company. But again, it's still a Bronfman company.
Sure.
And then you'll see near the bottom says the term of Brookfield's 100% leasehold interest in the office condominium acquired from Kushner Companies will be 99 years. Now, I've done a bit of research on this, and sometimes I do too much research and things but I'm pretty sure, like unlike most large whatever, they gave all the cash in at hand too, right? When they did this,
really.
So they just turned over all the cash for the and it was like
for the 99 years.
Yeah, for like 1.6 billion or something, 1.6 billion or 6 billion or something like that. So yeah, no, they gave up all the cash right up front.
Now what's their interest in? They're going to release it out or something because they're not worth that kind of dough, are they? I looked at their total net worth; it was like 10 billion.
What, Brookfield?
Yeah, at least on paper.
No, they're worth way more than that. You know, that's like when they say that. That's when they say that, like, because they own they own Canary Wharf.
Well, that's probably their net assets then, right? That's probably their net
assets. No. Like, I was actually so again too. It's all how you do your accounting, right? But I was going through this with Rafe and Kiefer. You should have showed them in the bottom there. I was going through with this, so I was kind of doing an introduction with our weekly audio only. So that dropped this morning. Anyone wants to go
nice.
listen
Where's that? I didn't know you were doing this podcast. Where's that going? Where's that dropping?
We do it every week. When it's on Spreaker every week. Other than when the internet demons kind of want to interfere with us.
Well, nice. I'll make sure I get a link in the show notes for you there, Jonah. So this Brookfield is very wealthy because they're Bronfman owned, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're Bronfman owned. Like I say, so do you know Canary Wharf?
I don't.
Like, right outside of the city of London. It's the big wharf in London, right outside of the city of London.
Okay, right outside the Rome.
So they own that entire property. They own.
We talking about City of London, the Vatican-owned area.
So they own that, but so I went here. Yeah, the City of London. Yeah, the financial district.
Yep, tracking.
So the Canary Wharf is just outside of there. It's a specific district, so they own that whole wharf. Like that, so that alone just kind of that alone is just real kind of interesting because it's on their website that they did or do own it, I should say. I'm drawing a blank on that right now, but that's really interesting though too, right? Because you're thinking about all the shit that comes in off of ships, you know. Actually, let's go ahead.
That's an important dock spot, right? It's important financially for docks and whatnot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say, fuck the Liberal government of Canada, you know, because you know, not that I'm ever gonna side with the cunt Elizabeth or her demonic child, but you know,
sure.
So 355
is that who King Charles's dad is? Is it Satan himself? I was thinking that.
No,
looks like
man.
him, right?
No. You know who King Charles' father is, right? It's a fucking chimpanzee with Down syndrome. They just shaved him.
That makes a lot more sense. I was more referring to that painting he did where he's like looks like a demon in it, right? His official portrait, that red thing.
Oh yeah. But look at him, man. He's a fucking Down syndrome chimpanzee that's been shaved. They're like, you can't tell me anything else than that.
So Carney must be in tight with the Royals then in general, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was the governor of Bank of England, right? So there's all kinds of pictures of him circulating with Ghislaine Maxwell, you know, of course.
Sure.
But then like that was in like 2013 when he just went over there, and then his excuse was like, "Oh, my wife was just introduced to her through social circles, this, that, and the other thing." It's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
typical.
Yeah. Now I was fucking around on this Brookfield asset management website, and like, to me, this doesn't make sense because this is officially their history. It's like 1899 Sao Paulo tramway, light and power.
Mm-hmm.
So just think of that connection. You have all the oil connections, etc., and they're going with light and power down in Brazil. Somehow this is tied in, but then you look at they talk about going all the way back to 1899, then nothing happens, and in 1954, our founder Peter Bronfman establishes an investment company, and that's with the proceeds of his shares of the Seagram company. Is like, what?
Interesting. So he took that Seagram money. So he was part of the first generation or second generation of the Seagram finances of his family, huh?
Yeah, Samuel. So Samuel would be the father. I think Peter was one of the brothers. I forget. I got the pictures coming up. So nice. I think Peter was one of the brothers that got ran out by Sam, because Sam still ran. Yeah, because Sam still ran Seagram's until 1970 and his death.
Right. Which Seagram's now is a huge conglomerate of all sorts of things, right? It got they end up using that money to buy up a lot of other corporations, and they run a lot of shit. I mean, I'm sure we'll get to that, but I'm just saying, when we talk Seagrams, we're not just talking Seagrams, right?
Yeah, no, I do have a list of that, but it's really funny because, like, so I brought up
it's not just a 7 and 7 we're talking here. You know what I mean, Nick?
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to figure out the best way to word this for the guest, right?
Yeah, no worries. Nick strikes me as a 7 and 7 type of guy, Nick.
Seagram 7.
Yeah.
It's more of a 7.
More.
I've had a few of those. I've had a few of those in my time.
Now, let's be honest with this family. It's more of a 7 and 7 and 7. You know.
Okay.
You know, the logo of the AWB, who were the Afrikaner White Brotherhood or whatever that did the South African apartheid. That was their logo, was the 777.
You could get that out of the boat right there.
Oh, I see it. You're right. It could be out of the coat. Yeah, I see the top of it. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So Sam. So this is the official. You'll see. I made sure to cut the address though too. So this is from like official government website, the Canadian Heraldic Authority. You'll see there. So they'll say it does not have confirmed symbolism for this emblem, but this is the official that's registered, right? So then everyone talks about the Bronfmans and the Red Shields being like a Jewish family. And again, when I was on with Nick previously, I went through the Red Shield coat of arms, and nothing on there fucking said Hebrew to me. And a lot of it said Rex Deus, and a lot of it said, going back to Babylon on there, even this bullshit, right? Like, nothing on here.
This is more of a convenience factor of them calling themselves Jewish at some point in time, is what you're saying.
For me personally, I think it's more of the Babylon mystery religion hiding itself under like the Jewish exiles that were returned. I shouldn't say the Jewish exiles, but the Jews that were returned to Jerusalem under King Cyrus, who was the first Zionist. You know what I mean? But
okay, I like it. I've never heard that theory before, but I like it. I'll have to look into that some more, but I do. I mean, there is something to this Rothschild thing. I mean, again, like years ago, I was like, I don't know about all this Rothschild stuff. But then the more I look at it, and the more time goes by and things become more apparent, right? I mean, like, again, with this Carney guy, like we got Rothschild bankers leading the major Western worlds right now. I mean, you could throw Donald Trump in that mix. He got bailed out by the Rothschild.
I always do.
Yeah, he got bailed out by the Rothschilds in the 90s, right?
Well, let's go ahead. I highly recommend everyone watching Hyper Normalization. It's spelled with an S at the end, so it's NORMALISATION. Hyper Normalization. It came out by the BBC. Adam Curtis in 2016 when Trump was first elected. He goes in deep about Donald Trump's history and how, like, how did Donald Trump become the real estate tycoon that he is? Well, the bankers told New York City, go fuck yourself. You're getting no fucking bonds from us until you take our. And then the elected politicians bend over backwards with no lube, with the pegging. And Donald Trump becomes the biggest
political way. Sure.
Then Donald Trump is the biggest developer in New York City. All of a sudden, only after the bankers take, ram it raw up the elected officials. Not that I'm for government, but I mean, he's nobody until until the elected officials take it up the back door. So yeah. So that's just my personal opinion on Donald Trump. Like, he's been a banker. Now, the one thing I also wanted to point out here too, right?
He's got some interesting backgrounds, right? I mean. I'm open to him doing something different in life, like you were saying. Anyone else doing something different, but like he's got some very questionable backgrounds. Are you familiar with you mentioned Permadex briefly, Jonah, but I'm sure you'll get into it more. But are you familiar? Let me take this off the screen momentarily so I can show you a picture. Are you familiar with his relations with this member of the Permadex board?
Roy Cohn ones.
Yeah, Roy Cohn and a 28-year-old Donald Trump.
Yeah, I know. I seen you talking about that last week with Kane, I think it was.
It's one of my favorite pictures. It's one I talk about a lot.
Yeah.
I like Roy Cohn. So, you know, he's much like the Bronfmans, Roy Cohn's everywhere.
But let's do a little tangent on that fucking piece of shit scum fuck Donald Trump, right? Okay. You know, everyone wants to say, oh, man, Nick could attest to this. Like, there's been so many times that like people like be like, "Oh, you're just a Trump." I'm like, no, fuck Trump, but you know, I mean, so, but what I was gonna say is, so
what's your thoughts on Roy Cohn? Roy Cohn and Donald Trump. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts on their relations?
Dude, if we're gonna talk about Roy Cohn, I'm just gonna say, who gives a fuck about Roy Cohn? Tell me your thoughts on John J. McCloy.
Oh, there you go. Okay, he's another member of the Permadex board, isn't he?
He was the Assistant Secretary of War during World War II. He was the German High Chancellor. Immediately after the war, he is the first president of the bank or World Bank. Yep. He was president of the Council of Foreign Relations. He was president of Chase Manhattan Bank. Member of the Warren Commissions. He was the fucking lawyer for the Seven Sisters during the OPEC embargo.
So what I'm hearing out of you is a lot of Rothschild banking is what McCloy was related to. It sounds like.
Oh, McCloy. Is said to have been the guy who set up. I can't think of the fucking name right now. He was the guy who set up the Yamashita's gold, but there's another name for it prior to that. So he's the one who took all Yamashita's gold, all the gold that the gold that the Japs stole from all of Asia and hid in the Philippines.
Sure.
He's the banker who oversaw all of that. So, I mean,
really makes you wonder, doesn't it? With Donald Trump saying he's going to go audit the Fort Knox, you know what I mean? It really makes you wonder with all these Rothschild, because obviously McCloy, like you just said, we're rattling off a number of McCloy Rothschild jobs, including the World Bank. I mean, let's be honest, that's a major position in the, you know, the Rothschild central banking network.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. Yamashita's gold is said to, like, the Yamashita's gold, all the gold that was stolen by Japan from 1890s through 1940s is said to be it is said to be worth more value than all of the gold that exists. So, like, the hidden gold from Japan alone is said to equal more value than all the gold that we know of in the world.
That's interesting.
And it's just hidden in all these like fucking bunkers and like these like trap like the more you dig into it, it's just one of those things too, where, you know, like when Japan kind of just took over and they always had these that were American puppets until the economy crashed, whatever. Well, that was all fucking Yamashita's gold. You know, it was all fucking people that were still tied to fucking Hirohito. You know.
Sure. So I mean, it's a lot of global control with gold and with the Rothschilds banks is what I'm hearing. So we have the Western world being run by Rothschilds bankers, but not only with Carney, he's in deep with the Bronfmans. Who do you think's worse? Being deep with the Rothschilds or the Bronfmans?
I think they're, well, let's be honest.
Same table, same team.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you later that they're so close that there was, you know, if you look at all the Rothschild corporations, usually it's Rothschild, you know, or there's not second names, but there's actually a corporation that was founded in the 90s. It's merged in about 2015. It was Bronfman Rothschild, so they're high enough up that they had a married corporation. That's,
I mean, it makes sense when I hear Israel, all I hear is Rothschild because that's who made it. And then you look at Bronfman's, and they started that. You know, Edgar Bronfman starts that mega group, which is all the richest Israeli men, right?
Yeah, well, he was also that's real quick. All the brands there, so
yeah, that's a lot of shit they own.
I'll just yeah. So not all of these were when because at some point they switched it over to Diageo or whatever, but you know, a majority of these companies were all brought in under Samuel Bronfman. He died in 1970, and then his two sons, Charles and Edgar, took over here. So here you go. You got Bronfman E.L. Rothschild, which was founded in 97. Had a total of 100 employees or whatever. Oops. God damn it. How do I go back on this stupid presentation slide? Oh, damn it.
That I wasn't clear about, sir. Was that the family tree you had up there? Will you try removing it? Will that help?
Yeah, I'll get back up to that. No, I wanted to go into the...
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do an escape. And then
I was gonna say if you maybe go back on your end and then share it again, maybe I can pop it
back up, and then
yeah. What are your knowledge on the Bronfman family, generally speaking?
Yeah.
I mean, they are a major Canadian American kind of gangster family, but what do you know about the family generally?
You asking me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know jack shit, unfortunately.
Yeah, because I mean, like you don't like these are kind of I kind of view them as the dark lords. They sit behind these major industries like liquor and music and everything else. Warner Brothers, P. Diddy, Nexium,
Teresa was
Mega Group, Epstein, Maxwell.
Teresa.
Well, yeah, because they're big in the Canadian parapolitics, right?
Yeah, but I only really heard of them from her.
Okay.
No,
that's kind of the impression I get. Generally speaking, they are very much this dark entity, right? No one really knows much about. You can recite the Rothschilds all day to people, but as you're demonstrating, Jonah, these are very much the same team, and not many people know the Bronfmans as well as they know the Rothschilds, right?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny too, because the more like I know what Bronfmans are. Obviously, I used to live in Windsor, right? I live just outside of London, so Seagram's itself, was Joseph's Secret Company. It was founded in Waterloo, which is less than an hour from me. It was so Samuel Bronfman himself came to Canada in the 1890s. He was escaping Russian pogroms. So they're blaming it all on the Tsar Nicholas. Again, too, the Romanovs, which is kind of funny because after World War II, and I'm kind of skipping all over the place, but after World War II, one of the top distributors in Europe was Dmitry Romanov, but allegedly Samuel and his brothers escaped to Russia from the Romanovs. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, cool. You're kind of just like taking your alleged surf owner and making him your slave now or whatever. But no, so with this one here, I just thought this was really funny, like the Bronfman Rothschild. If you look at it, even though the company, the description, it says company offers services for wealthy individuals and families, institutions, and retirement plans. So it kind of looks like it's just like,
yeah,
it looks like it.
So him being a secret Bronfman is kind of the same thing as Macron being a secret Rothschild, right? I mean, it's kind of the same deal, right?
Yeah, and I'm just saying, even with this firm, to me, when I'm reading that I do the research, it seems more like the only thing they were doing was handling their family assets.
Yep. Now, my next question is Mark Carney married to his dad's sister, mom wife?
No. He's got a regular wife? Yeah, he's got this tall blonde thing that's like towers over him. I don't know too much on her story, but so this is just kind of like the main players in the family. Now
who's the other ones we see here that you think are important? Name us who's your favorite? What's your number one pick here? Who's your number one draft pick, Jonah?
You know what?
I got mine. I got
bottom left second over, just because.
Yep.
Bottom left second over, just because I kind of have a thing for black chicks. But I mean, hey, whatever. Hey, here's another good story about her. No. So her father, her father is Edgar Bronfman Jr. Now she became really famous because she's a social media influencer and an American DJ allegedly. But so when she had her child,
she have a true crime channel as well on YouTube.
No. Yeah, but when she had her child, guess who was the one who introduced to the world that she gave birth?
Who's that?
You might have heard. You might have heard of this guy named Barry Sotoro.
Oh shit! Really? Okay.
Yeah, and then I forgot to. So basically, her the name's Preston Miles, which comes from Edgar Miles, but there's 4 names total, and she breaks down the whole way they name it too, and it's just an entire Illuminati bloodline to me. The douchebag to the right of her, so the third one in from the left.
Yeah.
That's Benjamin Bronfman. He's the one who produced the Jesus album. He's all over all the hip hop, so mind control aspect, which is kind of funny too, because they're from Montreal, which ties us to McGill University and
MK Ultra stuff.
You and Cameron, the personal psychiatrist.
For sure. Well,
that's
interesting because that connects directly to the my favorite Bronfman and her MK Ultra experiments in Albany, New York. You and Cameron came from Albany, New York, and would drive to McGill to do those experiments.
Well, here's I can't prove this, but I've come across the information on paper previously. Now, there's this other fucking douchebag who's definitely involved with mind control. He was born again too, piece of shit scum fuck. No nothing town in Ontario called Kapuskasing. That's Kapuskasing. Kapuskasing. Well, their most famous son is James Cameron.
Oh.
Now, yeah.
The director?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know he was Canadian.
And he's got ties to Albany too, if you look him up. But so you and Cameron was kind of in Ontario and Quebec too, right? Doing a bunch of bullshit, right?
Sure.
And I just can find it kind of funny. Like I've put his name in Kapuskasing on paper, but I haven't been able to do it digitally. So I don't want to speak out of turn because maybe my mind just is playing tricks on me, like Bushwick Bill. But it's kind of funny though too, right? Because like you think about James Cameron was born in a town of, if you look it up, I think it's 9,000 people in Northern Ontario. In 1980s, he's a truck driver who has a movie script, gets the biggest fucking movie star in action to be the lead character in his movie.
Chuck Norris?
No, Terminator.
I'm just joking.
Terminator was his very first movie.
That was his first one, was it? I think it was Aliens, right? Oh, no, you're right. It was Terminator. That was 84 and Aliens was 86. You're right.
And he
had that's a big hit for your number one movie, right?
Yeah, and he had no fucking reason to hold the script and hold on to the movie studio and be like, yeah, no one but me is going to do it. And then
he's from the middle of nowhere, huh?
Yeah. And then the storyline fits right into these MK projects, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
I'm tracking.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just really interesting that again too, like you have the personal psychiatrist of Rudolph Hess, Ewan Cameron. Yep. Now here, the Ewan Cameron shit doesn't make sense either, right? Because allegedly he was Scottish, right? He moved to the USA after the war.
Story. That's what they claim. Yes, sir.
But if you look up his information, he got married in Ottawa, Ontario to a Scottish bitch in fucking 1933. I don't know about you, but I thought the war happened in 1944.
It's interesting. I haven't gone that deep in his history. That's an interesting point you bring up.
Well, you're not in Canada.
No, but he's a big interest of mine. Like I said, so my favorite Bronfman is Sarah Bronfman because she skirted all charges despite financing the NXIVM cult along with her sister. And the NXIVM cult was literally running MK Ultra experiments out of a hospital in Albany. The doctor got the doctor cult member, but he was running him out of this hospital there and out of Monterrey, Mexico. He got his license revoked after Raniere got busted, but nonetheless, old Sarah there, she just said, "I'm just going to go ahead and walk away." Her sister got like 7 years.
So, she got 6 years, 9 months, right, Claire?
There you go, something like that.
Now,
Sarah said, "Nope, I'm just going to go ahead and walk away on this one."
Yeah, let's just go ahead and I know you guys like to talk about this shit, right? But
sure.
So when these people left Montreal, oh wait, no. One thing else I was going to do, right? So with James Cameron, right?
Yep.
He gets Arnold Schwarzenegger, the biggest fucking name in action movies at the time, right?
Correct.
Well, who's Schwarzenegger's pimp at the time?
The Kennedys?
No, Joe Weider, who's also a Jew from Montreal.
Oh, the bodybuilding guy. Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, like, and all these things. It's like, man. I mean,
yeah, but there's no way that Sam Bronfman here didn't know old Arnold's grandfather-in-law. You know, John Kennedy, right?
Yeah, or
Kennedy
no way they
Senior,
don't
right?
know.
They were bootleggers together, right?
Yeah, and there's also no way that he doesn't know Arnie's, Kristall not father, Gustav Schwarzenegger.
There you go. That's a good point too.
I mean, just saying, like,
Nazis flock together, huh?
No, when Arnold Schwarzenegger comes out and does all his TikToks and Twitters about fucking Kristall not shit, all I say is, hey, your father was fucking there. Right. He was Austrian fucking SS police fucking in 1939. He was there. Fuck off.
And wasn't he a general or some shit? He was high ranking too, wasn't he?
He was definitely in the Austrian police in 1939, so he was definitely in Kristall Knot. So fuck him. Anyway,
right.
Anyways, so let's go on the right hand side here, because I know you guys like Westchester County.
I love Westchester County. If nukes were a real thing, I would advocate nuking it, but nukes aren't a real thing. So I love Westchester County.
So if you go from the bottom right of this family tree up to the fucking Ron Jeremy 1970s porn picture, like the third up.
Yep.
That's Samuel Bronfman.
Yep.
He's the one who was allegedly kidnapped himself in 1975 on the Queensboro Bridge, because when good old Samuel Bronfman Sr. and his whatever and all his ilk decided to leave Montreal for New York City because they opened the Seagram's building. Anyways, they moved to Westchester County. So I mean, I wasn't alive in 1975. That was 3 years before me. And, do I trust a fucking word of the NYPD or FBI?
For sure.
Yeah, no,
for sure. Yeah.
I'd rather drink Lysol and take my chance and trust a word from them.
But what's funny is that it's in the same areas that the Son of Sam cult was allegedly operating in around the same time, right? I mean, Westchester County, Queens, Brooklyn, you know what I mean? The kidnapping looks like it traversed all those areas, right?
Yeah, and then the ransom was supposed to be like $2.5 million, and they told Sam Sr. that they're gonna shoot him with fucking cyanide bullets. But the whole thing is quite wild if you look into it. I mean, we're kind of just touching on the topics, and also all the tangents, because like this family and okay, I got over this here. So that's just kind of it. And like I say, I mean, let's be honest. My personal favorite is going to be the Ron Jeremy porn guy, just because the whole kidnapping thing is just wild.
It's super wild, yeah.
But you have like Benjamin Bronfman, who's the producer. You have Edgar Jr., who was
P. Diddy's buddy.
He was CEO of Warner Brothers. He's actually Hannah's father. With
I kind of assumed. Yeah, I figured that was the situation there.
Yeah,
he's a character, isn't he? That Edgar Jr. He's in just as much stuff, if not more, than his father. I feel like.
Dude, he is.
And what I mean by that is into more of P. Diddy.
No, man, he's more into you and Cameron. Like, so he was
him and P. Diddy building houses.
But he was started out like with Warner Brothers, right? Then they merged. They brought in Capitol. Yep. They brought in Universal Music Group. They brought in Vivendi. When he left all these record labels, he went over to television production. Fubo, I don't even know what the fuck this is, CEO. But everything he's done has been mass media, and then his daughter and his son are a DJ and a producer and the social influencer. So everything that's come from him, everything that's come from him into a woman is about controlling people's minds through media.
Sure.
So,
what do you think? Has he been to a couple P. Diddy parties? What do you think?
No, you think he associates with the help?
Right. It's beneath him, is what you're saying. It's beneath him. You're saying P. Diddy's probably mimicking a Bronfman party, is what you're getting at.
Yeah, like the P. Diddy party is like the P. Diddy party is like the grade school Bush party compared to like University Kegger.
Right. It's a bootleg Bronfman party. That's a P. Diddy party.
Yeah. And not bootleg like the way they made their entire fortune.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because I know the Nexium cult was doing some stuff out there on Branson's Island next to Epstein's at one point in time.
Yeah. Well, Joe Biden also has an island right there too, right? But let's not forget that fucking. Yep. Let's not forget that Disney Cruise Lines literally had a tour cruise that stopped and did a daily fucking not daily, but a half day of snorkeling in Little St. James.
Yep, that's true. No. That's true. Do you know whose island's down there? Who's never going to get busted for all of his transgressions and tomfooleries? David Copperfield. You know why? Because he makes all of his all the witnesses disappear. He's that good of a magician. But he does have an island down there, and he has been accused of a lot of weird shit down there.
You know what's really funny? And this is a tangent again, too, but it just seems that all these fucking people have all these little ties, right? So anyways,
they do.
You remember Nygaard?
Yeah, I forgot about Nygaard. Yeah, the Canadian dude down there. He had an island, too, right?
Yeah.
Canadian Epstein.
Right. Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though, too, right? I don't necessarily think, because everyone in Winnipeg knew Nygaard was fucking children down there, but it wasn't children, you know what I mean? Like, it was like he had his own island where he'd bring all these girls at like 16, knock them up and pay them a bunch of money to live there. Like, actually, the one employer that I had back in like 2000, one of their nieces was literally living down there, fucking getting paid off huge to live down there with his kid. But like pretty much kidnapped, but it was also getting fucking huge bank to do it, right?
Oh shit!
And everyone in Winnipeg knew, but it was all like 16 and up. So like down there, I'm not saying that. Man, I can't even say a 25-year-old woman, like, because they're still immature, especially the ones today, right?
Yeah, he seemed to have some different proclivities, but they seem pretty nefarious, right?
Yeah, no, like when it all came out, but I mean, it just to me, like, having
you know what I mean, it seemed pretty. Whatever he was doing down there is pretty.
Yeah. But what I was bringing up, so he's like his headquarters was Winnipeg, and then when the Bronfmans came to Canada, they set up shop in Winnipeg and opened a first hotel there. They're poor farmers fleeing Russian pogroms that moved to Winnipeg and opened a hotel.
You got that cash somewhere, huh?
Yeah. So I was just gonna bring this up here too because this is Edgar Bronfman, the one that just died junior or whatever in 2013. You'll see he was the president of the World Jewish Congress from 1979 through 2007. And you can see all the other stuff that he was involved in.
Oh, so this is Edgar Sr., but didn't Edgar Jr. lose a son too recently? I think he did.
No,
maybe Edgar the third might have.
Oh yeah, this is Edgar Jr. or whatever, right? Edgar Sr. was.
I think this is Senior. Yeah. This is the guy who ran Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Right? This is Robert Maxwell's buddy, right? This is the mega group.
Yeah. I'm horrible with names, so I get them mixed up sometimes. But I just want to point out too.
So what's the World Jewish Congress do? What's their main function in life? World Jewish Restitution Organization. That sounds like a really broad, spooky name, if you ask me.
So the World Jewish Congress is one of these, as far as I understand, is one of these philanthropic organizations where, in reality, The Rothschilds have set it up so that they can just funnel money to themselves and all their employees and all their fucking henchmen without paying any taxes on them. While the poor schmucks like you and I are fucking slaves to their tax system. That's my opinion on it, but
I'm tracking with what you're saying. So the actual pronunciation may in fact be full-on rapists instead of philanthropists.
Yeah. But I just want to point out here too. I mean, like you do see again too his bachelor's degree from McGill University. So, you know,
yeah, he's connecting the right dots, huh?
Yeah, you know,
he's spinning the right trails.
Right there, you go.
You know, there might have been a guy. There might have been a guy named Cameron who was a professor there at that time. I don't know if he ever took any psychology, but
sure, that'd be interesting to find out that intersection there, right?
Yeah. Now, so that's what I have for slides because there's so many other things to go on. But so you brought up Mega Group.
Yeah.
Now, Mega Group was founded in 1990, possibly, because again, too, right? This is like a Bilderberg thing, right? Does anyone know?
Wikipedia's calling it a study group now for some reason, which I find that odd.
Go to Wikispooks. Actually, I can get you the link.
We're good. I like to start off on Wikipedia to see what the normative view is of topics. You know what I mean?
Oh, JJ.
Yeah, no, it's also on Wikispooks. They do a bit better.
Real quick, Joe.
I'm bringing it up right now. We're good here. What do you got, Nick?
So, like the Wikipedia, that's for.
Do you want to hold on a second? I saw my father. I think I had told you. I saw my father the last 2 days. He came and visited. He's checking out North Carolina, and I know, like, he was kind of like I didn't realize, I guess, how much into conspiracy he kind of was.
Oh, really?
So I had asked him. I was like, "Yo,
did you show him that Trump picture? Did you red pill him like headless?
No, I didn't know about that until after I had left them.
Okay.
I
get a kick out of that.
Yeah, it would have. I had asked my father. I was like, now I'm asking him because back in the day, I'm just gonna keep it straight. The first time I ever heard you use that word spook, I was like, yo, it's that type of fucking party going on here. Like, holy shit, because I know it's been used for different reasons. So I asked my father, and he looked at me. He's like, he's like CIA agents.
Hey, the spook in the back.
I'm like, am I the only person who thought the wrong thing when I heard that? I'm like, fuck. But like, even my father said, "Oh yeah," he's like, "That's an old one." Yo, you know what he told me? He told me that even the word wetback came from some sort of term that had to do with actual government people, and then got used.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got to text him and ask him. He actually went into it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Yeah.
That is the derogatory term they use for
something. They're like CIA assassins or something. They would call them wetbacks because they'd wet.
Yeah, wet work.
Wet work. Yeah, there you go. Whenever you mention spook as a racial term, I just think of Back to the Future. You know what I mean?
No.
They calls the band. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think, was it Biff? One of Biff's guys, maybe. I don't recall. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Have either of you ever
that would be a
read...
classic movie for us to cover one day for occultism.
No, I was actually gonna recommend that because it's my understanding that's deeply rooted in Masonic occultism.
Yo, I would love to cover that.
Wait.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
Wait. I gotta go back to you guys' conversation.
Yeah, we're getting sidetracked.
Sorry, I got all excited.
No, I gotta go back to you guys' conversation back on Wednesday. The best fucking movie with Keanu Reeves and fucking Patrick Swayze in both their careers was Young Blood when fucking Keanu was even only in it for like 2 minutes.
Oh, I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Rob Lowe is the star. Then Patrick Swayze. It's about
Rob Lowe is a vampire. He never ages.
It's about junior hockey here in Canada, in Hamilton, which is just down the road from me.
Oh shit!
It's a great fucking movie.
And a Keanu Reeves feature. Yeah, okay. I'll have to watch it. I like Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Crazy for Swayze.
You say Keanu Reeves is in that too?
Yeah.
He's got a small role.
He does a... No. He does a French accent. Like, it's hilarious. I won't go any further, but he does a French-Canadian accent, and it's fucking hilarious. It's the best acting he's ever fucking done.
Did you see that movie Scanner Darkly he did?
Yeah, that Philip K. Dick book.
Yeah,
I love that movie and that book.
You know who was in that movie with them for a minute? He was standing on like a soapbox or some shit, screaming in the street with a fucking bullhorn.
Bill
Do you
Hicks.
know who was in that movie?
Bill Hicks.
Well, Alex Jones.
Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks playing Alex Jones.
Come on, Alex. People are still buying that spooks bullshit. People are still buying that spooks bullshit.
No.
No, he is in that. He is in that role. Yeah, that's back when he used to hang out with Charlie Sheen, and he used to claim he was a big Hollywood guy back then. Sorry.
Going back to
check out this movie though. I appreciate that, Jonah.
So, if neither of you've ever read the book "Spook in the Back of the Room,"
no,
it's a must. It's literally written by a black author. Without getting too much into it, it's a black guy who finagles his way into the CIA or whatever, and he's a double agent within the CIA, and he just sits in the back of the room because no one pays attention to him because he's black in the 50s. And it's fucking hilarious. Like, without ruining the storyline, like every time he gets a break, he just drives from like Langley to fucking New York so he can bang hookers in fucking Harlem.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Spook in the Back of the Room.
Yeah, they made it into a movie in '73, huh?
Yeah.
Not by the door.
Yeah. Great fucking book. Great fucking book.
Oh, sounds like a comical tale. I was going to make an inappropriate Mormon joke when he said "spook in the back of the room."
Mormon joke.
Oh no!
I was about to say, what is that? A Mormon congregation before 1978? Heidi would appreciate that one, Nick.
They're the TARDIS souls, aren't they?
Yeah, well, that was the thing, dude. Yeah, they wouldn't let him take the priesthood. Anyone who wasn't white couldn't have the priesthood because you were tainted by the devil.
Yeah. So getting back on topic here, because again, too, let's go into all the MK Ultra aspects here and the Studio 54, and you get to the Mega Group, which was with Les Wexner, co-founder with Edgar Bronfman. And then they bring in that alleged child fucker who had sex with what's her name, Drew Barrymore at Studio 54. Yeah, you get him in there. You get Jeffrey Epstein in there, but even Lawrence here Tish. On week
isn't his daughter the head of NYPD? Is she like the police commissioner of NYPD right now?
Possibly.
Yeah, I believe it is. I think it's at least the same Tish family that fund NYU.
Yeah. Now with the Mega Group too, like one of the biggest things that they were doing though too. Oh yeah, Ronald Lauder, you see right there. He's the one who fucking privatization of the World Trade Center in Building 7, huh?
Again, really? I was about to ask you who that dude is. Yeah, so I see that now. Yeah.
We're just gonna go into that Secret 7.
Former ambassador to Austria. That's hilarious. What year was that?
There's your Secret 7 and 7 and 7, right?
Holy shit. What was he doing in Austria? Was this immediately like post-war? When was this? Doesn't tell me here. How dare they? It's even more interesting. No, he was born in 44, so still odd. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it was still controlled by the the whole Dulles Galen network, right?
Yeah. So again, too, I just find it really interesting though, too, because like I have to assume that Robert Maxwell was involved with this, right, at some point.
Again, he had associations, right? No, they don't have them listed, do they?
Yeah, they don't. It seems like they only focus on the Americans in there, right? And
4 of the 14 pages are already gone. Well, I think we had a bigger list up here, didn't we? Let me look here. There we go.
I've had a bigger list up top, but I mean, even then, like.
Yeah, they don't include Maxwell, huh? I thought Maxwell was associated with this group.
I think he was, as far as I know. But then you also have like they have a total of like fucking 10 people there, and I think if you scroll up, they talk about or somewhere on there or a different link. I might be mistaken, but they talk about like the last meeting was in like 2013, and there's like 30 fucking people, 30 Jewish billionaires, and you only have 30 fucking listed. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, right. They have 16 names right there, right? And we got its initial core was 20 members, and then it says it grew up to nearly 50 members. So what are we talking here? They got 16 dudes listed here.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just very interesting, But again, too, we were talking about the Bronfman, as I have pointed out to you, Lyndon LaRouche and Mike Collins Piper and a few others have, again, another organization that you can't really ever prove, but it said that they were the financial backing of Permadex, or between them, I think maybe Bloomfield. So again, too, like when you're doing this research, I mean, they don't always come out.
You might as well get a Yamacon, is what you're saying,
this.
right? You might as well get a Yamacon so you feel like you're in the right environment, right?
No.
Mood. It's a mood setter for this reresearch.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not for against. A lot of times No. A lot of times I avoid going into the Zionism, and because the majority of this is just handled by the Sanhedrin. If you look up the Sanhedrin, which is really funny. Do you know what the president of the Sanhedrin was actually, his title was? So the Sanhedrin was the group that ran the Talmud back in Babylon, right? But the president of the Sanhedrin.
I was about to ask you who that was. Yeah, okay.
Their title of the president was NASI.
Interesting. Nasi, huh?
Yeah.
It's unique. It's a unique one. So Lawrence Tisch he was on that list too. Yeah, he is that same. His granddaughter is the current NYPD commissioner, Lawrence Tisch. But yeah, they founded. He was the CEO of CBS from 86 to 95. His brother they own the Lowe's Corporation. They own all sorts of shit, hotels and whatnot. Yeah. So they very wealthy folks. They big donors to NYU.
Yeah, so they're the human trafficking.
Tisch School of Performing Arts. That's all those people. But it's the mega group's granddaughters in charge of NYPD right now. I mean, these people have wielded some. What I'm getting at is these folks wield some innumerable amount of power. A small corps of 16 people listed and 50 people.
Yeah, and then it's really funny though too, right? Because people talk about like all this bullshit and everything, right? Now we could talk about the bankers, everything, and I'll say fucking the Creature Jekyll Island, and I say that's a fucking limited hangout. Fucking Edward Griffin, he does some good work, but I don't trust him for a fucking second, because like the one thing that when I read the David Rockefeller memoirs, right?
Sure.
I came across something that I never I don't recall. Actually, I shouldn't talk shit, but I'm going to do it anyways. But, I could be wrong, because I should go back and actually check the Creature from Jekyll Island. But I'm pretty sure he doesn't ever fucking tell us who the mother of fucking Nelson, John D., and David Rockefeller is. Oh, Austin Lawrence.
Yep. Who do you think the mother is?
I know who the mother is. The daughter of Senator Aldridge.
Interesting. Okay.
So John D. the second.
That's his middle name, right? That's his middle name, Nelson Aldridge Rockefeller, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So Aldridge, from the Aldridge plan, because they tried to pass the Federal Reserve Act prior to Woodrow Wilson getting passed. So the senator who was at fucking Jekyll Island is married to the Rockefellers, and fucking G. Edward Griffin never tells you in the fucking book.
Yeah, that seems like an important factor to include there. I would agree with you, sir. Yes. How did Nelson die? So Nelson's an interesting character, because he was
he
very much
his fucking wife or his mistress on the floor above his wife. Like
and she killed him, right? Or she died with her, right? Or something like that.
Something weird, but he had his wife on one floor and his mistress on the floor above. But let's
He always wanted to be president, and it just so happens the two Manson girls almost made him president within a 3-week period of September 1975.
I'll tell you something even better.
you got a better one than two Manson girls.
One
was shooting blanks.
No, I'll tell you something better. Right?
I hear you. Let's. What do you got?
So you got 1972. Richard Nixon, largest landslide in fucking American history. His vice president is Spiro Agnew.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Fucking Spiro Agnew gets taken out. Fucking Gerald Ford gets put in fucking as vice president. Then they fucking take out goddamn motherfucker Richard Nixon, and they put in Nelson Rockefeller. This motherfucker literally had the president and the vice president taken out so he could become vice president of the United States.
Yep, he was on the track. He wanted to do it. So he'd been in the White House since the 50s as a military intelligence officer and liaison.
You know what?
Doing national security stuff.
You know my favorite photo of actually it's not even real. Gerald Ford is. Have you ever seen the picture of Gerald Ford just sitting in the background watching the real president and Henry Kissinger shake hands with Mao, and he's like,
oh.
Yeah,
he went on that trip. He went on that trip, the Kissinger China trip.
No, this was when Nixon was fucking, or not Nixon, when Ford was president afterwards, and Mao's shaking hands with Kissinger, and fucking Gerald Ford's in the background like a fucking retarded kid on a short bus, like just fucking like.
Yeah, I mean, he was. I'm looking at the picture. I mean, he was kind of a tool, right? I mean, he wasn't really. He was a made man in every regard from his Warren Commission days, right?
Yeah, he was.
Made man politically speaking.
Yeah, look at that.
We're having a good old time. You know, old Kissinger decided at the age of 95 he had to go get on a plane and go back over to China. I've always thought this relationship with...
No. He was 100 when he showed up and said, "Listen, you fucking bitch, she."
Was he that old? Oh, shit. I shortchanged him by a couple of years, huh? Okay.
He was 100.
That's weird, though, right? What is that relationship where he's got to fly over there, right? That's bizarre, man.
Because Henry Kissinger... He's a fucking, like, he's the most vile piece of fucking whatever bacteria that's ever fucking worn a human skin suit, right? But
I'm sold. I'm sold.
I respect the fuck out of his gangster. I as a criminal as a youth, this motherfucker, you can't tell me there's a motherfucker that's harder than him, because like he stayed in that position to 100 years old, flew over to China and told Xi, "Hey, bitch, come suck my dick." And she ran over and met with him privately. But
yeah, and I'm fairly certain he used the Process Church of the Final Judgment as his dirty crew, national security style.
Dude.
His underling certainly was connected to a neo-process leader. His underling, Richard Scowcroft.
They know that he flew into fucking Italy in 1978 and assassinated the fucking former prime minister. Yep. It's like open secret. Pachenik wrote the fucking book. Pachenik wrote a fucking book saying they did it.
No one wanted to mess with the guy, huh? Untouchable.
Yeah. But what's really funny about that, though, too, right, is so Pachenik was Henry Kissinger's second-hand man, right? He was also...
Steve Pachenik was Kissinger's second-hand man, the Cuban Russian
He's
fellow?
The one who fucking killed Aldo Moro. He wrote the fucking book.
I didn't know that.
He went over as a White House interrogator in 1978, Aldo Moro.
He was the actual trigger man, though?
That's what Italy has on the warrant.
Interesting. He's kind of a Jack Ryan figure, right?
He was fucking ghostwriter for fucking Tom Clancy, or co-writer.
That's what I thought. I was say that's kind of his stories, right? Jack Ryan's kind of Steve Pachenik, right?
But anyways, Pachenik was I think that's the story. But Pachenik was.
What do you think went on in this picture with Kissinger and a shirtless Bob Cocaine? A lot of cocaine went down on this image, I think. A lot of cocaine.
But
they were tight. They were real tight.
Yeah. What I was going to say.
I'm sure what else was tight in that situation, but they were tight.
Not anymore.
So what's his name was he was the assistant deputy or something. So he was not the right hand, he was the left hand. Pachenik was.
Sure, but he was up there.
But then he was also co-writer for Tom Clancy, but then Special Agent Bill Hicks, every time he fucking comes on, he's like, "Oh, this guy really knows what he's talking about. He used to be a CIA employee." Motherfucker, he ran that shit.
That's right. They were tight, weren't they? He used to always go on there, didn't he? I forgot about that.
Dude, he was the one who was telling him that fucking they're importing kids to Mars or some shit and fucking them. Like.
Are you sure that was Pachenik? I thought that was Robert David Steele, because he's another one.
Maybe it was. But no,
he's a very
like,
similar character to Pachenik, but not quite as. He's like a Timu Pachenik.
Pachenik would be on there all the fucking time, right? And he would always be pushing.
I forgot about that. You're right, dude. You're right. I totally forgot about that.
But then Special Agent Bill Hicks, would always be like, "Hey,
sure.
He knows what he's talking about. He used to be an employee." No, motherfucker.
He's got the documents. He would know that. Yeah. He's got the documents. So what happened to Clancy? He died a mysterious death, right?
Yeah, he was used up and tossed aside. Like
that was it. They had enough of him.
Yeah. The Bronfmans and the Red Shields couldn't push any more stories through them, but it's kind of funny because I was actually at the library and I came across like a Tom Clancy Jr. book or whatever, who's writing Jack Ryan Jr. novels or something. I was like, oh, so you just were like fucking TikTok recycling fucking like legendary stories, or like what the hell? Yeah,
that's interesting. I didn't. This is a funny quote. I guess I never saw this. He was on the Raleigh Factor a week after September 11th. And he was saying that he blamed left-wing politicians for gutting the CIA. Classic CIA man move right there. Just make a statement like that. It's a company man. I've ever seen one.
I blame the CIA. No. Let's fuck that.
So this is the Nexium doctor that was running MK Ultra experiments out of Albany, New York. He lost his license. He was a neurologist. He was a member, but he was running MK Ultra experiments out of there and Monterrey, Mexico.
Yeah, no,
it wasn't the same hospitals as you and Cameron, but it was in the same city as you and Cameron, Albany, New York.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting though too. Again, I kind of went in and they just reminded me here, right? You know who else was directly tied to fucking the same hospital or the same hospital in McGill as fucking
like some full blown taping folks' eyes open, you know what I mean? Like, Clockwork Orange style, and showing them snuff films. They were showing them snuff films.
But you know who else was directly tied to the McGill University and like you and Cameron's that fucking horror, Malaka Harris. Her mother was out of McGill University as a teacher.
Oh, is that what brought them up to Canada? Oh,
yeah. And it's really
you mean that white Indian lady who ran as a black woman? Is that who we're talking about?
Her
White Dudes for Kamala 2028?
No, her name is Devi after Devi Sutra. I'm just saying, like, I'm not implying, but she's named Devi after Devi Sutra, who was like a fucking Hitler esotericist in the 50s in India. This is my personal opinion.
Yeah, well, I looked at her Jamaican heritage. It gets real white real quick. Irish, Browns, our family down there.
Yeah, Browntown or whatever, and then her granddaddy was
Hamilton. She's a Hamilton Brown.
Yeah,
she's a Scots-Irish woman from Jamaica. I mean, they were slaves. They got shipped there by the Brits as slaves at one point in time, but they took over that place. You know what I mean? And they had their own slaves, right? So, and then her Indian heritage is Brahmin. You know what I mean? It's just hilarious how they package it. You mean? Right. Basically, they're the Indian style Bronfmans, right? Because they're the Brahmin class over there, right?
Yeah. Now, what's really funny though too is when she was running for president or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, blah blah blah." When I was a kid, my friend was like molested by her father and all that shit. Dude, if you go to,
she had so many stories like that, didn't she?
Yeah, like what the fuck? Like she's related to Kanye, but anyways, aside from that,
I like the one where she was marching in like an MLK rally or something at the age of 2. Like the stories that lady came up with, her and Joe Biden both were like, wait,
no, dude.
Biden's people had to be like, oh, you got to stop telling them you marched.
No. You need to let me finish though. The broad who is allegedly the victim. I'm not saying she is or isn't. But the broad who is the victim in this story just happens to have the exact same last name as one of the Supreme Court justices. It's published in the Montreal papers.
Oh.
Kagan.
Which
I won't go any further. Kagan.
Okay, I'll look that one up. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's in the Montreal papers. They actually published the name of the individual in Montreal Gazette. I don't like if she's like Virginia Giuffre, who's just trying to take away from real victims.
There you go. That's my opinion. What do you got on that? I like that idea.
I don't give a fuck about what he was doing with kids on the island, because that was That was like the cocaine at the party when the real. Tell me why the fuck he had a DNA database that was paid for by the U.S. fucking IRS. I've never heard anyone else bring that up. And every time I hear it, I'm like, talk to me about the DNA database.
No. You know what, man? I not that I'm downplaying that other stuff that happened, but I totally agree with you. I feel like we got handed that instead of all that other weird shit that popped up. There was some things that even got brought up real quick in the news when he first got busted, and it's like they just stopped talking about it.
Dude,
what's up with that other? Like you just said, well, what's up with that? I want to hear about that.
I
agree. Diddling kids bad, but DNA databases and he's funded so much AI shit, dude. It's like what was really going on there?
Yeah, like $250 million in tax incentives to run a DNA database. What do you need a DNA database for? The only thing you could really use a DNA database for, searching victims, like blood type matching, bone marrow matching, all that shit, right? Like
biological warfare, right? I guess you could use it for something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's not really a database because a database is just like keeping all your markers and all your trackers, right? So, like,
but if you want to make a weapon that's designed for one of those markers and trackers, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, you're right. I wasn't thinking.
Little designer, you want to get some world leaders out of the question. It's a good way to do it, right?
Dude,
to build some designer weapons.
Another thing that I've never actually seen anyone else bring up other than myself with Raven Kiefer, and I'll give you the links or whatever. I'll drop it in the notes or the comments after the show's done.
Sure.
But I've done like 60 audio only shows with him at least, like probably 100. But like no one else ever talks about not just all the fucking scientists that he brought to his island.
Right.
Why the fuck was he running and being funded to run Doomsday conventions or whatever, right? He literally had Doomsday conventions where he was trying to figure out how to fucking save the world from the Doomsday Clock.
I did not know that.
So there's just so much more to that. Yeah, just type in Jeffrey Epstein Doomsday. And it'll come up. He had like conventions about doomsday predictions and all that shit. How they're going to save us from global warming, like ESG, like fucking Carney and all that bullshit.
Why did they do Stephen Hawking like this? They tied the man to a dolly and then wheeled him down into a submarine. I don't know what to think of old Stephen Hawking at times. I mean, the guy lived like 100 times longer than with a disease in which the man whose the disease was named after, and that just happens to be a man who never missed a baseball game for like 25 years.
No. I think I'm just saying, like, to me, I think Stephen Hawking is. I just think that when they tried to place the demon into his fucking soul, they just fucked up on that one, right? And they couldn't get him out. That's why he had
one of my biggest issues is where's his speak and spell? Where's the Stephen Hawking speak and spell these days? Why is that not commercially available, right?
Because he got the curse while fucking text to speech.
Yeah, which is very much like it's similar, but it's it's no speak and spell.
Good old Kurzweil.
He's a nut job, right?
Say his name. Oh, fuck, dude.
Transhumanist, VP of Google, right?
Dude, again, too, I don't ever trust these people, and I don't always assume, I'm just saying from the information I have today, this is my opinion. Tomorrow I could have new information, and even the last show I did with Nick about some of the Knights Templar and stuff, I would say that I fucked up some of my information the more I study. Because I took one source and thought it was accurate, but then I found a few other sources that I was like, hey, I was under the wrong information there. But I can admit when I'm wrong.
That's only fair, Jonah. Yeah, that's only fair. Based upon the availability of information in the future, you're certainly, you got to change your opinion. Sure, that's only fair. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
Good to hear, though.
But,
good to hear.
Yeah, no, but I forget what I was going to say here.
Some Knights Templar stuff. You and Nick had some Templar stuff discussions.
Yeah, no.
I like that topic.
Oh, yeah, no. I get too. I broke down. So if we bring up the Rothschild, the coat of arms, that's another one that if I look at it, I don't my saying, and I'm guilty of this too. So I'm going to talk shit on myself because I'm my best target. But I always say that everyone wants to look for the false flag, but no one wants to look for the flag. So when I look at the Rothschild fucking coat of arms, where I have to look at the Bronfman, I'm seeing like the Rothschilds themselves. If you read enough information, they track themselves all the way back, not to Abram. They track themselves all the way back to Nimrod. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, right, Babylonian style, huh?
Yeah, and the Babylon through Nebuchadnezzar fucking destroyed that shithole. Taking all the people back to fucking Babylon, and then Cyrus freed them and sent them back to that shithole, right? I mean, I'm not gonna say that I give a fuck one way or another what happens over there, because I don't care. I don't care about my neighbor.
How about this one? What do you see here in this coat of arms? How does this one look to y'all? I don't know much about all these designs and symbols and esoteric understandings of these things, but this is George Washington's family coat of arms.
The 7 on the 7 golds there on the eyes with the 3 on either side of the center there.
I see that. Yep, 7.
That's interesting. The 3 on the crown with the 3 stars there too. That's another thing that I would say is interesting as far as number wise.
Okay. Yep. We got maybe a ruby or red gem and like a green maybe. What is that? An emerald maybe?
The black.
Right here. The Black Crow.
Yeah,
maybe he was just a fan of their music, Jonah. Maybe he just liked the Black Crows.
Is it a raven? Okay. Scroll back out.
Sure.
Because I just want to see if there's a second bird on there anywhere. No, I don't see it, but
I don't see anything embedded anywhere.
The one thing that's really jumping out at me is the color scheme. The cross of St. George is the Knights Templars. Now let's go back. Operation PacCon, right?
Oh yeah.
So, because the Knights Templars, and then you have the St. John's of Jerusalem, which was one of the 2 official organizations that were investigated under PacCon. Well, that was another
the militant domestic militant organizations. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Patriot Conspiracy. So the St. John's of Jerusalem was one of the 2 official listed under.
Where were they out of? Do you know?
Arkansas ones, I think it was. I think they're the Arkansas ones, but that was Iran Contra guy who was got the only convictions in that case.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're saying they repurpose these same symbols, huh, for their stuff, huh?
Well, no. For the George Washington there, the red and the white, the one thing that I'm seeing there is going to definitely be a Knights Templar, the St. George's Cross, right? Which is
right.
That's all fucking the red and white cross for England, right? That's the St. George's Cross, so that's what I'm seeing there.
This is also seen in the depicted in the DC flag. Headless Giant pointed this out to me recently. This was also seen in the DC flag, the Washington coat of arms, with those stars and whatnot, kind of depicting the cross of St. George, like you're saying.
Bring up the Chicago city flag.
Okay, what do we got? I'm not sure. I can't even picture that.
It's not identical. I think it's like 3 red stars and blue.
Yeah, it is. Interesting. It's almost Colombian, which is interesting since Colombian is obviously named after the goddess Columbia.
For 6-pointed stars, but yeah.
Yeah, the blue-white stripe things kind of remind me of Columbia.
Yeah.
So what's these stars? I mean, what are these kind of stars? They look like CIA stars to me. Are those CIA stars? You know what I mean? You see on the lobby floor there in Langley?
I kind of get the unicursal hexagram feel out of that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, if you turn them sideways. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Dave Grohl made it, right? Studio 666?
Oh, no. Yeah, no, it still looks like it.
No, I know. I was just referencing when I sent you that.
Remember that? You remember that one? Yeah. What movie was that?
Studio 666.
Oh, that was the name of it, right? Yeah. I think
yeah.
a long time ago too.
Yeah.
Studio 666.
Yeah.
Where Dave Grohl kills his whole band, and then a second band member has suicides while he's in Brazil. You know,
what a weird cast.
It was the Foo Fighters, but
no, but they got Whitney Cummings, Will Forte, Jeff Garland.
Oh, you mean
the
CIA
supporting
agent?
cast? You know what I mean? The non-Foo Fighter folks. Yeah.
And then Taylor Hawkins dies in fucking Brazil right afterwards of a fucking overdose or some shit.
Oh, that's right. He did die, didn't he? This was 2022. Yeah, that'd have been right about the same time, huh?
Yeah, just like Kurt Cobain died.
Yeah.
I sure as fuck wouldn't want to be in Dave Grohl's band. I'm just saying that. I mean, maybe if I wanted to.
He wasn't even the first drummer in that band, because the first drummer, I think, went to the Army Special Forces, if I'm not mistaken. Jason Everson, I think, was his name.
Oh,
before Grohl, Jason Everman, maybe Jason Everman.
Yeah, the other day when you were talking about all the Fort Bragg connections, I was I was wanting to point out, you know, just like fucking on that day in September, I got that passport. You know, 2 planes can take out 3 buildings, but not a fucking passport.
Right.
Yeah. But then, you know, just this year on fucking New Year's Day, a Cybertruck could take out an entire fucking lobby of a fucking Vegas hotel.
The fireworks display.
But his military ID is untouched.
Right, and he was out of was it 10th group out of Fort Carson.
I thought he was out of Bragg, but then the other guy.
Oh, I think he did some time at Bragg, but his most recent assignment was I think the 10th group, because the 10th group has a contingent over in Germany, which is where he allegedly got radicalized with the Ukraine T-shirt he was wearing, right?
And the other guy from fucking New Orleans, where they fucking you know, he was also tied to Fort Bragg, but you know.
Oh, that's right. That was at the same time too, wasn't it? I forgot about that.
It was the same fucking day, but then the New York Post was in the crime scene before it was even forensically finished. They were in there like, oh, hey,
that's right.
Check this out.
They took a tour of the house. They're like, oh, let's take some fucking trophies home with us, folks. No one cares.
Yeah, like the forensic team wouldn't even been fucking done. It was on the 2nd. They're in there and it happened on the 1st. And people like, oh my God, check this out. It's like, what? Like, it's just like you know,
that's right. That was connected directly to that guy. Was directly connected to Fort Bragg at that time. Like that was where he was stationed.
Yeah,
I do think that one guy was previously stationed. The Vegas guy.
Yeah, and they were both on the January 1st, and they both had fucking electric vehicles. They're the one had the Cybertruck, the other one had a Ford F-150 Lightning because he wanted to use the Cybertruck, but he couldn't get it on Turo.
No, Rebecca cut out there for a second.
Oh, I was saying that the other guy wanted to use the Cybertruck too, but then he couldn't get it, so he had to get the F-150 Lightning. So that
I've always found it very suspect that the explosive expert from Army Special Forces could only put together a firework display. You know what I mean? That in and of itself seems preposterous. So Everman here was not the drummer. He was the original guitarist for Nirvana and played bass for Soundgarden, and then he was a Green Beret for 3rd Special Forces group.
Like, I mean, can you tell me any more that fucking grunge was just a psyop? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like,
now this guy was at Fort Bragg. Third Special Forces is at Fort Bragg. So 3rd and 7th. So he's a Fort Bragger. We got a Fort Bragger in the house here.
I will second an opinion of yours. Well, maybe not a second opinion, but the movie Singles had like the greatest soundtrack of the 90s at least.
Yeah. I was a big I agree with you there. I was a big fan of that movie too, man, to be quite honest with you. I mean, Cameron Crowe writes and directs a good film. I enjoyed Almost Famous. That's a fun film. You know the guy Philip Seymour Hoffman plays in Almost Famous, the radio DJ. His name's famous radio DJ. Name's escaping me right now, but he's the guy who actually coined the term grunge.
Nah, you know, like I've brought this up many times, and like anyone who's gonna judge me on it, I don't give a fuck. Who cares about you, anyways? But I was like, my power scan. I might have gotten in trouble in the USA and had to come back to Canada, but luckily that was pre 9/11. Otherwise, I'd probably still be in custody. But
no,
you know,
shit,
it's kind of funny.
Right?
It's kind of funny though too, because like at least the one good thing, about the growing up that way is by like mid 90s, I was like, look at Powder. Look at I never fucking going to give any of my attention to these fucking pedophile fucking trash bag fucking mind control operatives. So like, if I don't have a fiance in my life, I ain't never fucking watching a movie or listening to music. Like maybe some classical, but I'll listen to a book because it's all like, and then like you and I and Nick, and we pull up these, like any of us can pull up the patents and tell you that, like, oh yeah, well here's how they're using this to, you know, using these color waves. Here's how they're using these radio frequencies, etc. And it's like, why am I gonna do that to myself? I don't even carry my cell phone most of the time. Like,
if you don't watch out, you'll end up looking like Robert Reich here.
Yeah,
in a contest with Danny DeVito for who's taller.
but who's the Nephilim fucking reject?
Right, the Lurchy character. I'm not sure. Well, Jonah, I appreciate the conversation tonight, sir. This has been some very informative stuff. I know I've learned a number of things. I'll certainly turn it over to you for some closing statements, and you and Nick both. But if you'd like to share some statements, and also that link, I'll make sure it goes in the show notes. For your show there.
I'll get the most recent there. Anyone who goes to the Raven Kiefer, no apologies, it's on Spreaker. We do, you know, we usually do regulars, and a lot of times we just talk shit like this. Sometimes we call it Jonah Deep Dives, where I come in with a bunch of research. You know, but
you do that well, sir.
You know,
you got a lot of details.
You know, a lot of times, and I'm gonna just say this: when you're doing this research, you know, I like to say, the more you do this, you realize that these people above us, like, there's so many like entanglements. It's like that fucking Playboy magazine that has been splooged on way too many times, so you can't open up the pages. But that's what all these people are. Like, they're so stuck together, you can't pull the pages apart. And you're both guys of the same age as me. You know what I'm talking about. But I mean,
if I can offer quantum mechanics example, they're entangled in some fashion. They're quantum entangled in some fashion.
I get what you mean.
Yes, I might be obnoxious. I might be ignorant, but
no, you're good. You got you bring a lot. You bring a lot of good ideas to the table here, Jen. I appreciate you got my wheels spinning tonight for sure. And I highly recommend check out these deep dives. I know I'll check out some more of your deep dives, because I remember the last time we conversated there on Clint's channel. I was like, man, that dude's he's got a lot of details. That Jonah.
Oh yeah, Jonah does know his stuff. If he's right.
And even Nick's the one who I shouldn't say. Well, oh shit. I shouldn't say he was the first one, because Justin actually, the one day I was talking shit and I mentioned that I was a skinhead, so he did a private where he just talked to me about my life. But first show I did was with Nick. There we did, and then it's kind of funny. I've actually been going back to it. We did cognitive warfare, no limited hangouts, all that shit. But I've been digging into the cognitive warfare recently. The shit that they're publishing in those, you know what? Not only am I going to drop my link, there's this guy, Dr. Torvald Ask. He's official NATO scientist into cognitive warfare. I literally just going to drop the link.
Like he's Norwegian.
Yeah, Norwegian. Yep. I'm just going to drop it in there, because he talks about how he, for his master's in molecular neuroscience, I think it was, he was modifying HIV so that he could trigger the impulse reaction within the human brain and all this shit. And this is like one of the cognitive warfare scientists for NATO. So I'll just let everyone watch the video, because that's something I've been doing a lot of research on. But yeah.
Please do. That sounds very, very dark, but I would certainly like to read about it. All right, well, Jonah, I'll definitely make sure I get those links in the show notes, and I appreciate your time, man. We'll definitely have to link up again in the future, dude. I like all your details, and I like where your head's at on all of these conversations for sure. We've had tonight, so some new ideas my way too, which I enjoy coming across. Nick, sir, I appreciate your time as always, co-host Fridaze. May I offer you any plugs times, or do you want me to plug some plugs for you? Like, what's the one we did the other day before let me get you kickstarted on some plugs.
Oh, Old World Florida. I know is dropping this this weekend on audio. I think tomorrow.
Oh no, but the Scientology one though, that's still blowing my brain hole, man. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, that was.
If I was going to get you kickstarted on some plugs, I would recommend that.
Yeah. I got near-death experiences coming out next week with Dr. Shushin, and Growing Up Mormon with Carl Crusher. So that's
he's back. He's back. All right. I like to hear that. I like that guy's Mormon talk.
Yeah, I got that, and then we got some stuff with Rudolph Steiner coming out soon.
Now, Rudolph Steiner, I hear Heidi talking about that a lot. Heidi Love, Unfiltered Rise, for those folks, because I think she's covered this topic a little bit or quite a bit. What is that? I don't. She's talking about these spears, and I'm not exactly tracking on this stuff.
Yeah, we covered him from like an occultist aspect of the things, like he was into. Yeah, people could check it out when it comes out.
Is he a big occultist?
Yeah, I think
but not like publicly, though, is what I'm saying. Like he's like a secret.
I think if people who looked into him would understand he was. Yeah, I think.
Okay. But not like, but not like he's not like he doesn't wear a name tag. I'm an occultist.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think
he doesn't wear a cape. Does he have a cape?
No, he didn't walk around with an outfit like Crowley or anything.
I was gonna say, I feel like there's a couple of occultists I can think of to enjoy themselves a nice cape.
Yeah.
Oh,
but Elvis Presley had one.
There you go. Oh, he's a dude. There's a plug we got. We got to do that one again, dude. I've been deep into this whole Elvis Presley Manson situation.
Yeah, really. We should hit up Julia and Heidi and be like, yo, you got to make that happen.
We do, yeah, no, for sure. That's a plug for folks to check out in the future, is that conversation. And the last one we did was, it was a great conversation. Miguel Connor's seems like a great author there on that, to covering these occult topics of Elvis's interests. I'm very uniquely interested in a very small part of those topics with the, his Miss Manson family activities. So, no, good stuff. I appreciate it.
Link just now.
Is it in the private chat, Jonah?
No, I dropped it to DM. I tried to put it in the regular chat, but it wasn't doing it, so I dropped a DM. And
appreciate it. Yeah, well, I appreciate it, folks, tonight joining us here. Yeah. Jonah and Nick, again, appreciate it. And Operation GCD Live next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Topic is, you guessed, TBD. This last one, though, I really I might be unpacking some more of that, because I'm really stuck on this topic of Idaho Contra, comparing the Idaho 4 murders and the environment in which it occurred in to the situations around the drug trafficking, gun trafficking of Iran-Contra, because we got drug trafficking, we got gun trafficking, we even got Iran-Contra people up there and around the Idaho situation. But the more I look at it, the more what you seen? You've seen some of those details? You familiar with what I'm talking about?
No. When you're talking about all that, I just wanted to drop a name on you and see what you come up with, anything at all. But Bo Grills.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar.
You know Bo Grills?
Oh yeah, U.S. Army Colonel, right?
You got the one who was negotiating with fucking Weaver. They had to call him in to negotiate with Sam Weaver, right? Or and then he was directly involved with fucking Waco somehow. Yeah.
He was an interesting character.
Yeah, so when you're saying Idaho 4, like Ruby Ridge was Idaho, so I was just wondering if you had any opinion on that whole thing, like Bo Grills and all that, because it wasn't he tried to brag too.
I'll add that to the list, because that's an excellent point. Because here's another one for you that went down in Idaho relative to Iran-Contra is the Nugan Bank co-owner and founder, John Michael Hand, who was a CIA operative and Green Beret under Edward Lansdale in Vietnam,
murdered in Australia.
Yeah, in Australia, right? The bank it was kind of the early domino in the Iran-Contra. There was a CIA money laundering bank out of Australia. The Australian lawyer he started it with committed suicide. Yeah. He basically pops smoke and disappears to Idaho for the next 25 years.
Yeah, with the shotgun in the passenger seat.
Right. Yeah, there's right? Some. Well, yeah, old
no. Oh no,
Well, I don't know if it was the passenger seat, but Nugent had. If I do remember correctly, Nugent had a suspicious death. And John Michael Hamm, the CIA Green Beret guy, Army Special Forces, he popped smoke and lived under an assumed name in Idaho for the next 25 years.
Yeah, that'd be a great one that I'd be interested in covering one day, because also you think of all the the Gladio shit, but then the guy from Milan who fucking got down under the construction, but you couldn't get there and somehow hung himself. You know what I'm talking about, the Black Friars hanging?
Yeah, the Vatican banker, right.
Yes.
Yep.
No, that'd be a good topic to get into. Like that's
all. It's all connected, and all those guys know Bob Cocaine Evans' friend and his boss, Charles Bluedhorn. He was doing all the banking deals with Michael Sedona, for First National Bank there, and the Vatican bank scandal, and he also.
Dude, what about?
Well, good.
What? I think it was 2019, right before COVID. Right. Yeah. Right before COVID. Right. When they took in that fucking, they took in the entire freight liner, which was owned by JP Morgan, with like fucking a retarded amount of tons of cocaine. And it was a JP Morgan flagship.
Oh, I remember that.
And it was in the Philadelphia port.
I do remember that.
Like, I mean, yeah, no, like I get to like, I didn't even make this point, but I was gonna say, like,
they gotta get the coke in here some way, right? They gotta get the coke in here some way.
No.
Right?
I was gonna say the one thing I was gonna make a point about is, you see the Bronfmans take over all of alcohol after after World War I prohibition, and then World War II. They take over all alcohol in the world. But to me, that's the same as like, and I'm just gonna drop this real quick and then we can get off. It's the same as when De Boer had the Boer War, and then all of a sudden fucking Cecil Rhodes runs all the diamonds in the world, right?
Exactly. No, that's a great correlation.
And then you have like the opium wars in China and India, and then like Woodrow Wilson and the Delano family is making fucking billions of dollars with the Astors, right? So every time they have one of these wars, they consolidate the monopoly, right?
No, those are great points, Jonah. Those are great points, and we might have to have a deeper discussion on some of these, especially the Iran-Contra stuff in the future. We'll have to reconvene here in the future. There was a question here for Nick, though. I wanted to let him get an answer on. Nick, have you ever had a show with Douglas Dietrich and his Queen of U.S. Army shenanigans?
Yeah, I wrote his name.
He was part of. We talked about him before a couple weeks ago, indirectly through Project Camelot. He was part of Project Camelot.
Oh, okay.
You don't know. Just do what you must with that. But he was Carrie Cassidy.
That's Project,
right?
So Project Camelot.
Right.
Was he related to the Kennedys, or was he related to the Onassis, if we're talking Camelot?
This was that Carrie Cassidy whistleblowers program, right? But it just happens to be named after an actual kind of design program from the U.S. Army, right? You can just it's on Wikipedia, right? It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And Camelot was the Kennedy family too, right? But then
which turns out it wasn't very Camelot. You know what I mean?
I mean, it was kind of Camelot. Like you get the whole fucking. Her man, it's like she marries the dude that shoots her husband in the head, and then fucking Howard Hughes gets kidnapped and he's found on Scorpio Island or whatever, and all that shit. I mean, that sounds pretty Camelot to me.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because we just did a great show on that with Howdy Love. She was just in the chat there on Mormon Mafia. There on the Occult Rejects. We covered those exact topics. It is a great story. You make some solid points, and I appreciate your time, Jonah and Nick. Appreciate your time, folks, to the interwebs. Catch you here in the future.
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, but check your six. Look in that garbage can, because you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.